If you're an F1 fan who's new to the sport, then you must have wondered about the tires used in these ultra-fast cars. Due to the absence of treads, they look very different from the tires on normal cars that you see on the road. Although most people might think that using tires with no grooves on a dry compound is a terrible idea, these race vehicles excel at using them, and in fact, they need them. Do they explode and get damaged on the track? Yes. Do they cost a fortune to replace? Yes. So why are they still used? Find out in today's episode of Get Around How. There are a few factors that come into play when it comes to why Formula One tires are expected to explode. In this video, we will examine each of these reasons closely to help you understand better. Everyone is aware that a Formula One car and everything that goes into making one is designed to withstand extreme weather. A Formula One car's engineering from the engine to the chassis is painstakingly planned and executed to achieve certain objectives and deliver an amazing performance. The Formula One tires are no exception. This is why many people wonder why F1 tires wear out so fast. It is important to remember that the pace of tire wear along with the aerodynamics forms the basis of racing strategy, and that you cannot separate the two when discussing what determines whether a Formula One race will be won or lost. Tire wear is, therefore, a crucial aspect of the race. Additionally, track temperatures have an impact since they control how hot the tires become, which in turn influences grip and degradation rate. It's important to comprehend why tires degrade at the rate they do, since it affects pit stops, compounds, and team instructions during the race. Based on this, the lifespan of a tire is estimated to be somewhere around 50 laps. What materials are used to make these tires, you may ask? Well, tires are a complex product, and making a racing tire requires a lot of chemistry. Because of how unimportant they appear, they've been treating them too casually for far too long. However, perfecting tires for racing requires some pretty brilliant science, and it's entirely conceivable to design a tire that requires extensive knowledge to get the most out of it within those constraints. Rubber is constructed from a range of materials that are combined mechanically and through numerous cycles of extreme heat. In usage, tread rubber goes through mechanical activity and spends time at high temperatures, which are quite similar to the processes it went through during manufacturing. The Formula One tires, like those used in other events like NASCAR and IndyCar, are made just for performance, not for longevity. The extremes of racing, which inevitably result in tire wear, are complemented by the engineering of the tires. So, how do F1 tires degrade and get worn out?
Oh, there's another tire! Oh, this time it's John-Eric Ver's tire. The tire's gone into Stowe at about 190 miles an hour.
Tires go through many stages throughout a race that finally wears them down past the point of reuse, at which point they are sent back to the manufacturer for recycling. The tire needs to heat up and become sticky to have adequate traction in any race. Teams deliberately heat new tires by warming up to prepare them for the actual races. The process is referred to as the heat cycle. When the interior of the tire is heated and is hotter than the tread or rubber on the outside, blisters occur. When the air is hot enough, it can break pieces of the tread off by forcing its way through the rubber layers. Blistering is a sign that a tire's tread has gaps in it. Less rubber will engage with the road when a tire is blistering, which will reduce grip. When the tire tread warms up, the rubber will melt, and centrifugal forces will distribute the melted rubber. When a fragment of molten rubber sticks to the tire tread, tire graining happens. Tires with graining feel like sandpaper and have less traction on the track. A small amount of rubber is left on the racing track after tire graining. The darker portions of the racetrack are made up of marble-like chunks, formed when small rubber parts collect together in the corners. Heated tires frequently pick up pebbles that stick to their tires when they pass another motorist. Consequently, the grip loosens. Most racers will pass through the marbling zones at the finish line, increasing the weight on their vehicles. Teams and drivers competing in Formula One adopt this tactic as well.
First time ever is champion of the world. He won, Max Verstappen.
A flat spot develops as a result of the asphalt tearing away the tire's rubber, but that's not all. White smoke will be released from a flat-spotted tire when it slides or skids on the circuit. Flat tires are not perfectly spherical due to the flattening of a section of the contact region. The control of a vehicle will be greatly affected by a flat patch because vibrations may develop and endanger the vehicle's parts.
Now, Lewis Hamilton praying that the checkered flag comes as soon as is humanly possible.
In automobile racing, blistering and grazing are characteristics of compound performance rather than potential hazards. It is quite improbable that either of these two will cause a tire explosion or something else. However, if you continue to use the tire and wear it out, graining or blistering may cause tire failure if it is not treated. Everything could turn into a safety hazard if you exceed the typical use constraints. The tire could start shedding. But why?
Sebastian Vettel goes down the inside on Valtteri Bottas. What a late move, what a late lunge, what a brilliant move by Sebastian Vettel.
Usually, the extremely abrasive ground of the racetrack is to blame. Instead of the usual marbles, strips of rubber can come off the tire, creating the stripping shredding effect on the tire's surface. There are instances when the bitumen on the track surface appears to be low, exposing material like pebbles and gravel essentially on their own with nothing in between, increasing macro roughness significantly and making the surface extremely abrasive, almost like driving on sandpaper. Since 2010, only pit stops for tire changes have been allowed. Drivers must start the race with all of the fuel they will require because refueling is not permitted. Sounds like a great plan, doesn't it? Yet, sometimes things don't go as planned. An example that comes to mind is the recent exploding problem that Formula One faced. During the British Formula One Grand Prix at the Silverstone circuit, Lewis Hamilton of Great Britain and Mercedes GP experienced a left rear tire failure. The race was marred by 5 significant tire failures, and now all eyes are on Pirelli, the series tire manufacturer, as teams, drivers, and fans debate whether the newest generation of rubber is suited to the rigors of professional motorsport. Only 8 laps into the 52-lap race, Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes was leading when his left rear tire burst at a speed of 120 miles per hour. He was forced to drive on what remained of his shattered tire and into the pits halfway around the track, losing a dozen positions in the process. A few laps later, Felipe Massa of Ferrari and Jean-Eric Vergne of Team Toro Rosso both experienced tire failures of a similar nature. At a speed of over 180 miles per hour, Vergne's tire exploded in a hail of shrapnel. After 2 additional drivers, Esteban Gutierrez of Sauber and Sergio Perez of McLaren, both suffered ruptures, it was unclear whether the race would even continue or be red flagged.
You see the sky, then you see the ground, you see the sky, and you know exactly where you are, and you keep moving, you want to stop. Then the car stopped, I saw a little space.
In Formula One, tires are crucial. Every element of each team's strategy is dictated by them. And the most recent compounds finally deliver drama to enthusiasts. Tires from only one manufacturer, Pirelli, and only 4 compounds, 2 dry and 2 wet, are permitted for use by each team, and they were specifically designed to withstand the brutal race conditions for such a long time. Once they begin to deteriorate, they are useless. As a result, choosing the right tires and using effective pit strategies are crucial for success.
It's not about if you crash, it's when you crash from time to time.
Valtteri Bottas leading this British Grand Prix from Sebastian Vettel. Hamilton under pressure from Verstappen.
For the 2013 season, Pirelli is providing new tires with a new design. Pirelli chose a pure radial tire with a softer sidewall and a steel belt rather than depending on a radial cross-ply hybrid that was both stiffer and used a Kevlar belt running around the perimeter of the tire below the rubber. Concerns exist over the technique employed to affix the tread to the carcass. After a series of failures of the steel-belted tires, Pirelli has reverted back to Kevlar as before.
As they make their way through Club, and now Kimi Räikkönen can get a good slipstream behind Max Verstappen and continue his pursuit.
Whether Pirelli had enough time to test the tires before fitting them to the cars raises even more concerns. Even worse, the tires entirely deflated at the event, not just shredded, sending huge chunks of rubber and metal flying onto the track and directly into the paths of the racers. We aren't sure what the problem was in this case, but the truth is that the wear rates that Formula One race tires experience are well above any type of accepted norm. Even by the strictest standards, the racing world can be a hard place. Additionally, the ongoing manufacturing and testing limits faced by Formula One teams and tire maker Pirelli are enough to give the majority of engineers the willies. How would you even begin to organize a test? And in the end, the tire degradation process is what makes a tire wear out so quickly. If a team wants the fastest lap and, of course, the championship, there is no getting around it.